We're partway through summer and they haven't returned in a month and a half. They won't answer their texts, and location services are off. Since middle school, we three have been inseparable, and I can't shake this nagging feeling that something terrible has happened. Mike's parents spoke to the police, but his mom was in hysterics and attacked a police officer. According to his father, they haven't been able to find anything. My other friend's parents are out of the country and can't be contacted until they return to the States. It feels like no one is helping, and I have no choice but to try to track them down myself. Grim left his laptop at home, and I have some hacking experience. I broke into the laptop and found a file linked from his phone to the iCloud. It's encrypted for some reason. He was a paranoid fucker. I'm leaving his writings below. Maybe you can read through them and find something to help me with my search. I'm not a very good reader. The tunnels. Across the world, every culture has stories that overlap. First-hand testimonies to the evil of the world that has been slowly drowned with time. Shadow people, Jinn, the Hat Man, and so many other names we've given to the dark and evil omens of the world. They knew something we had forgotten. We may have remnants of these testimonies, such as fear, somewhere in our minds. The primal blood-curdling feeling of dread and terror, the nightmares and dreams we are plagued with. Maybe they all mean something more. I just finished my first year of college. The wonder and awe of the first year slowly dwindles in my eyes as reality sets in. 3 more years. The same mantra got me through high school, but now I have to pay for my classes. Finals week has come and passed, and all I feel is exhaustion. Discouraged and unmotivated, I'm counting the days until the next move. Until the showers. I never knew exactly why the story caught my attention. Other than the fantastic writing and realistic imagery, there was something else about it, something familiar. Soon after, I must have read it hundreds of times. Something always drew me back to it. Nothing looked good to watch, nothing good to read, nothing good to eat. Just a charming little story of Hastings, Nebraska. It took over my every waking thought. The cult, the story, could it be true? For anyone who doesn't know, let me catch you up to speed. In the early 80s, the world was very different, and that was especially true for rural America. We experienced the largest farming crisis since the Great Depression. God's ire was felt through barren fields and famine. Debts were high, and so was the dread in the air. With every underwhelming yield, the tidal wave of despair grew ever more ravenous. An estimated 300,000 family farmers defaulted on loans, and 250,000 went out of business. Amongst the once vibrant, blessed, and healthy fields walked a 34-year-old with a Bible and a joint. Michael Wayne Ryan was a truck driver with a wife and children, but throughout his life, he never found anything meaningful. Soon he hurt himself and could no longer work, so he took to marijuana and spiritualism. Unfortunately, he found himself in the Christian identity movement, a belief steeped in anti-Semitism and racism. They prayed to Yahweh and kept kosher like his chosen people, and that's all they could talk about. How they were the chosen ones. Michael went as far as to say the spirit of the archangel Michael possessed him. In his mind, his righteous war against the serpent seed had just begun. They began prepping for the worst, burglarizing houses to support themselves, and amassing as many weapons as possible. James Thim, one of Ryan's old friends, invited him to stay on his pig farm, and this was the base of operations. Ryan's madness continued as he claimed to be king, and after taking multiple wives, doubts rose in the cult. 2 cult members were demoted to enslaved people, chained and shackled to the porch, and made to copulate with an innocent goat and sodomize each other as divine punishment. One of those members was Rick Stice, the father of 5-year-old Luke Stice, whose torture and suffering cannot and will not be forgotten. I pray for young Luke's soul. The only pure and innocent hope was snuffed unapologetically and the mask of sanity removed. His paranoia overcame him as the father of Luke fled the compound. he escaped, which would only go on to fuel Michael's wrath. The other slave, James Thim, was accused of poisoning a turkey eaten at a communal meal. He was taken to the pig pens he used to use before becoming kosher, and here he would endure one of the worst deaths I've ever heard of. Ryan and 4 other members, including Ryan's own 16-year-old, were told to sodomize James with various tools, whip him 15 times each, 75 times, and shoot off his fingertips on his left hand. Ryan wanted the worst for himself, so he broke his arm and removed his pound of flesh with a razor blade and pliers. Then he had his son and another member break his legs before Ryan stomped in James's chest and ribs before finally granting him the grace of death. He commanded one of the members to shoot him in the head, and just like those before him, he was buried in an unmarked grave. Soon after they were caught stealing and arrested, Ryan was given the death sentence and believed himself to be in the grace of God till the very end. I sit behind my desk, the LED screen flickering off my eyelids as they drift open and close. The last of my candle slowly flickers out, turning into a trail of smoke. The lingering notes of the previous audio episode of my favorite story fading into the background as the abyss takes me. Have you ever been to Broken Bow, Nebraska? I find my mind drifting, slowly escaping me and traveling north. Cornfields. Nothing but cornfields for miles and miles. No matter how far or how fast you travel, you can't escape the cornfields. Cottages and farms pass underneath as my consciousness is dragged along the highway. The actual size and scope of the corn belt can't be understated. Sometimes, when driving through America, there are moments when you are driving through nothing but corn for hours on end. You could drive for 10 hours in one direction and still see nothing but corn. It's hopeless, inescapable, and there we're a drop of water in the ocean, and there we are just another part of the food chain. Down a dirt road, my consciousness blew up dust, across more corn, and then wheat. Refurbished and freshly painted, a lone shack stood beside the road, an ominous omen compared to the waste around. I put my hands in my pockets and began to walk. To my left, an apple orchard, wide and long. With every glance, it became more and more inviting. The trees were littered with all the colors of apples you could imagine, from green to red to gold. It was beautiful and alien, a sore thumb in rural Nebraska. Red and pink apple blossoms waved in the breeze with temptation in the air. It smelled sweet. To my right, the simple and mundane wheat above the field. The gold noble stalks rose and fell in waves with the wind. I continued a mile down the road, and I started to feel cold. I could see the sun glinting off the golden fields, but couldn't feel the warmth. Clouds clutter the sky behind it, and all vegetation seems to diminish in the lifeless atmosphere of the silo. A clean, modernized shack lay next to it, almost an afterthought. The lights remain on inside, and a tiny raindrop hits me. It's stinging my face with the cold. As I began to feel the hopelessness wash over me, I felt my consciousness being retaken up and up to the top of the silo. It was a faded red with a stainless steel cap, and the wheel lever turned clockwise. It opened slowly, creaking loudly. The smell hits me, an acidic, rotten, iron-pungent smell hits my nose and commands me to vomit, but I don't give in. I can see clearly, but the light that filters in reveals a pool of gore. Pieces of worm-like meat lay on the floor amongst thick, dark blood, with a light red film on top. Bones and teeth are scattered amongst the other unidentifiable body parts. I lean in. On the far end of the silo, away from the light filtering through the hatch, I could see something moving, a glinting metal contraption slowly grinding. Low rumbling noises can be heard through the silo as well as an electrical humming, the kind that could drive you insane, piercing your ears. As the sound of the creaking hatch settles and my eyes start to adjust, my first impressions are over. An elongated pale arm connected to a massive bony body with pale white flesh drags something toward the metal contraption. Quiet sobs like those of a child can be heard, and as the creature lifts its bounty, it's a child, I think. Its face is malformed, and in between its lifeless pale blue beady eyes was a pig's nose. Its torso was separated from its waist, its guts and intestines dripping and swaying as it was being carried. Its lifeless eyes gazed out at the light offered by the hatch, almost mesmerized. I stare silently, unable to take my eyes off it, equally horrified, disgusted, and intrigued as to what would happen next. The lumbering pale creature lifts the child with one arm, dangling it over the contraption. Below him, the machine hummed. As my eyes adjust, I can see steel spinning cog-like wheels below him, hungry and eager. I stare at the child, unable to scream, unable to yell, just a tortured observer behind my own eyes. I will myself to look away with all my might, but my eyes set on the pitiful sight of the deformed child. Instead, something else happens. The gaze of the child shifts from the gore bathed in light to match mine. As I stare at him, he stares back, and a look of wrath and fear takes over his face as he begins to squeal and scream. The sound is unique and terrible. It still haunts me, a sound only a true abomination could make. The creature holding it looks up, its lightless black eyes reflecting my own as it begins this guttural screech. Neither broke eye contact. The baying of an injured dog echoes. It whines and screams, growing louder, mixing with the horrid screaming and squealing of the child. As the horrid cries continue, the other voices rise as if they echoed through a vent. The slow buildup of countless screams of children and the dreadful sound makes my ears bleed. I can feel my body go limp as I plummet forward into the gore below. The screaming grows louder and more desperate, and the smell grows even more foul. I wake up retching. The putrid vomit hits my throat and burns. I can't help it. I look around frantically. Something in my mind tells me I'm being watched. I stumble toward the bathroom and slip, smashing my head against the wall. I lay in my misery for a minute and slowly rose to my feet. Hastings. It began taking up more and more space in my mind as the weeks went on, ever since the video, ever since the story. Ever since I was 8 years old, I would wake up screaming and crying from night terrors. The room was cold and silent as my adolescent self sobbed out of fear. My ears were still ringing from the shotgun that had killed my parents. In my dream, of course, these nightmares became weekly, and I felt as if my mind had turned against me. Every culture worldwide has stories of the terrors of the night, the monsters hiding just behind the curtain of light. The monsters that lurk inside us, the truth of our violent and carnal nature. I have never trusted my dreams nor believed they meant anything, but something about this morning isn't right. Last week I finished my final exams for college, and summer has just begun. I moved away from my family home in California to be with my girlfriend, Maya. We just had our first anniversary, and ever since I moved I've been doing well, not just in school, but also in making healthier habits and finding myself. Now, my desk was littered with food bags and empty drink containers. A sweet lavender scent from the candle I burned last night hung in the air. Ever since I started researching this story, it's been like this. I found a fragment of truth in the showers, and the Yahweh cult has haunted my thoughts and even more my nightmares. I have been telling my best friends, Michael and Maya, about it nonstop for 2 weeks, and they both have told me we should all go on a road trip there. My stomach feels like it's about to burst. I can't tell if it's my nerves or just because I haven't had anything but 2 cups of coffee and a Red Bull in the past 14 hours. My girlfriend sleeps peacefully beside me, and the loud snoring from the back is low and deep like a slumbering giant. We started in Southern California, picked up Mike, and headed north. I stopped to sleep 6 or 8 hours after starting, but even then, I could only sleep an hour or 2. I could smell the corn, see the mesmerizing golden waves of wheat, feel the humid, sickly heat, and taste the blood. Since then, I haven't gotten a wink. I have to discover the falsity of my fear, and then maybe my thoughts will be my own again. Baby, can we go to the bathroom? Maya crawls out from her slumber beside me, her face as adorable as ever. Of course, love, there's an exit in half a mile. Be quick, I replied, slightly thankful for the opportunity to get another energy drink. We got off in between the major cities on some back road. There was an old gas station and a shack amongst the green farmland advertising raspberry smoothies. If you've been around farmland, you know that sometimes the producers set up a shack and sell goods directly from the producers. I parked at the gas station, and as Maya rushed out of the car door, I walked down to the storefront. They seemed overly lovely people. Maybe it's the charm of the Midwest, but they asked me about my day and where I was going, and I realize I don't have the specifics to any of the questions. The red brackish sludge in the paper cup smelt fantastic. It was smooth and creamy and had the right amount of sweetness. As I looked down into the cup, the red gloop sloshed, the chunky texture hugging the cup. Nausea creeps to the back of my throat. I ran into the side of the gas station, sprinting for the bathroom entrance, barely holding onto my stomach. I shoved past a man on his way out and threw up into the trash can in the next chamber. I could smell the stench of the truck stop bathroom, which didn't help the nausea. A headache as the nauseating stench makes me retch violently. All I could think of was the viscera-covered floor of the silo, the creature, the child's eyes. I shook the thought, my head throbbing with pain as the room spun. I looked in the mirror and instead of puke running down my mouth, it was stained with blood. It drips down my neck, warm and putrid. I glance up. The nose of a pig. I blink it away, grab the paper towels, and wipe myself down. Tears gather and I sob lightly. I don't want to keep going, I say to my girlfriend when I return to the car. Mike was passed out, and with me vomiting and having a headache, I just felt like turning around and heading home. My girlfriend had other plans to see this through for us, for me. She took over driving for the next length of the journey, and I passed out in the passenger seat soon after. "Wake up, baby," her sweet voice called to me from the blackness of my unconscious, like the graces of God washed upon me. Her warmth and the sweet smell of vanilla and cinnamon hit me when she embraced me. I don't deserve her. "I'm up, darling. Did we make it to the hotel?" "Yes, baby. Let's get going before it starts raining." I opened my eyes as she let go of our embrace. The horizon line was empty and flat in all directions, and the underlying beauty of the sunset peeking out from a cascade of clouds filled my eyes. A storm was coming. There is beauty in the dangers of life, the ocean, space, and caves. The less we know and the more infinite something is, the more beautiful it becomes. This sunset was no exception. The light was fading fast, hiding behind the earth, and I could feel the biting cold of the drizzling rain above. Utah. Maya heads to sleep while Mike and I are wide awake. I saw him unpacking his clothes and taking out his gardening bag. "Are you going for a smoke?" I shot him a knowing glance while grinning. "Yeah, you come in." He held up his bounty, a small hand-rolled joint, pure white. "Of course." We made our way to the lobby to look around. We stepped through the lobby. It was dead quiet, with no one around. We stepped out under an overhang for cars to unload luggage and lit up. Mike took a long drag and blew a cloud of white smoke before looking my way with a raised eyebrow. "So, first day in, how are you holding up, Mr. Dreamer?" He looked at me, amused with himself. "Well, I'm alive, aren't I?" I chuckled and held out my hand for him to pass it. He reached over. "No, thanks to that raspberry smoothie. What was there rabbit piss in it?" He jeered at me. He was met with a swift retort of smoke in his face. "Yeah, except you would have begged me for a taste if that was the case, you freak." I chuckled, coughing. "It would remind you of that one ex." I teased him before passing. "You're one to talk. You kiss the ground Maya walks on." "Well, at least she doesn't make me drink the special juice." I gave him a side eye before slapping his shoulder. "Cheer up, it's not that bad. She could always have pegged you." "Oh, that's gross, dude. It wasn't like that anyway. Tinder has been pretty dry though." "Don't worry, bro. You'll find a match. The closer to Arkansas, the higher your chances." I laughed, and he did too. As the embers fell to the wet pavement, the sounds of the rainstorm enveloped everything around us, and rest came to us in the late hours of the night. I can hear the AC running. An obnoxious low hum fills the room as the radiator leaks cold air with a hiss. I can't feel Maya next to me. She must be in the bathroom or something. I slowly open my eyes, groggy and exhausted. The blank, plain ceiling was only disrupted by the shadow of the spinning fan. It is ominous, spinning and spinning, uncaring and unfeeling. I could feel a skittering up my thigh, slowly making its way under the covers and up my arm. I can't move. I could feel my heart beating faster and faster. I tried to get up, but my body wouldn't let me. I want to scream. I want to take this thing off of me and kill it, but my body won't let me. My neck muscles won't listen, and my mouth isn't there. The bug continued uncaring, crawling up my arm and shoulder, approaching my neck and crawling on the sensitive skin. I want to throw up. It crawls toward my ear, and I feel 3 more skitters across my body, my left leg, right foot, and right hand. The one near my face continued up toward my ear, not stopping. I could feel them all, the horrible legs, their vile forms defiling me in my conscious prison. I'm gonna be sick. More and more began crawling up me, 4, 12, no 30, more. They begin encasing me, and cockroaches run across me head to toe, biting at my flesh with millions of sharp pinches in broken harmony. The one burrows deeper into my ear, deeper and deeper. It was the single most painful thing I had ever had to endure. I could feel the wall of my ear being chewed away, the legion swarming my body and consuming me. It made its way to where it was warmest, most wet, my brain. I woke up, gasping for air. Baby, Maya called up to me as sweet as a kitten, cold sweat dripping down my back and face. Yeah, I'm right here. Love, it's okay. I sighed exhaustedly, my heart racing and my head aching worse than ever before. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I got up and lumbered through the foreign darkness to the bathroom door. I stepped in, closed the door, and turned on the light. What the actual fuck? My eyes had dark circles more pronounced than yesterday, and I looked paler than usual. Those drugs can't have been good for me. I splashed my face with cold water and let it drip down my chest as I sat on the toilet, trying to collect my thoughts and calm down. Another 8-hour drive today. I was still groggy from my jarring morning, but I still pressed on. The road disappeared beneath me, time losing meaning as it does in the usual road trip fashion. We were going from Salt Lake to Denver. The early morning air was thick with fog. We planned on getting there a little early so we could enjoy the city a little. Then it was just one more day till we arrived at our destination. The nervousness was thick in my stomach, and I was equally horrified and ecstatic to get this over with finally. The conspiracies and theories have consumed me for the past few months. I just couldn't understand why nobody was talking about it. I had gone over the history of Broken Bow repeatedly, rereading the stories until the words lost all meaning. It was ingrained in me now. Every letter of every report, every little detail swept under the rug. No one cared. At least that's what it seemed like if the depravity and demonic nature of the place was really true. It has to burn. Road signs flew past us. It's a straight shot to Denver. The same highway for 8 hours can get boring, so my mind drifted. Thunk. What the fuck was that? My girlfriend rose from her previously peaceful sleep like she was awake the whole time. I don't know, hold on. I pulled to the side of the road, slowing down quickly as she jumped out to see what it was. Her shoes hit the ground, and I heard a high-pitched gasp. Baby, it was a bunny. I could hear the tears in her voice. She was always so empathetic. That's one thing I love about her. She loves all life, so much so that she wants to be an environmental science major. I walked the perimeter of the car, seeing the blood on my wheel and the mess in the road. I'm sorry, love, it came out of nowhere. We should keep going though to make good time. She gasped again in defiance. No, we have to bury it. Why are you in such a rush? You haven't stopped to go shopping with me or scenic stops. The least you can do is help this bunny you killed for the sake of making good time. I took a deep breath, heavily laced with aggravation, and walked to the trunk. There were piles of bags and suitcases for the trip. Under it was an old metal baseball bat and a shovel. I scraped the remnants off the side of the road as best I could. The smell wasn't great, and flies were already starting to gather. I dug a shallow hole and flattened the mound of dirt. Maya stuck a nearby pretty rock and some wildflowers she took quite a while to find while I was scraping. She closed her eyes for a moment, losing herself in her mind, wishing the animal well. She opened her eyes, and I held her gently. I'm sorry, baby. I love you. I'll be more careful, I promise. She nodded. Maybe it was the sluggishness of the hangover or perhaps the guilt from hitting the rabbit, but as nausea climbed up my throat, I quickly pulled away from her and puked. Oh my god, baby. I lurched over and I could feel another presence, something malevolent, something basking in my suffering. Out of the corner of my eye, I could swear I saw a man, inches away from my face, smiling at me, unmoving but breathing hard. Such a gleeful smile, like a little kid, watching closely as I emptied my stomach, both sick and terrified. I'm okay, I just am a bit sick. I practically crawled back in the car, the comfort of sitting the only thing to calm my stomach, and Maya gave me some water. The rest of the trip was mundane. Mike lit a cigarette. He opened the window and the sweet tobacco wafted through the air. It was so beautiful out here. The mountains, the grass, and even the sun felt different. Warmer, more welcoming. After you sleep on a couch in Las Vegas for 6 months, everything just seems a little brighter. A gentle, rhythmic buzz comes from that back seat, and Michio groans as he takes his phone out of his pocket. Hi, Mom. Yeah, everything's good. It'll take just a few more hours till we're there. Yeah, love you too. He quickly hung up and took a drag of his cigarette. Well, that fills today's quota, he said. His mom has been calling 3 times a day since we left, but she's always been a little off the rocker when it comes to him. My parents live in Southern California. Life was excellent there, and my high school experience was nothing special. I was raised Jewish. My father and his parents were, so naturally, I would be at the temple every Sunday. Up until my bar mitzvah, that is, it was fun, but nothing special. I was too young to glean wisdom in tradition and history. I came to appreciate it later after reading about other religions and history later in my life. My beliefs as a kid comforted me when it felt like there was nothing else. I never quite got along with my mom. My brothers and father were fine, but she was always the one I clashed heads with for various reasons. Mike was the only reason I was able to get by as a kid. I hated home, and his place was my second one. After that, Maya brought me meaning. I hated people and most of the things in life until I learned how to love the beauty and futility of our struggle as people, always trying to be better and do better. Maya always tries her hardest whenever she chooses something. She puts her heart and soul into it, and when she fails, it hurts and is hard, but if she loves it, she always perseveres. She's constantly learning new things and skills, spending time outside and listening to music. She loves life and the world. I admire that. I never had the same passion for life. I don't like people and I have anxiety, but I love to create and care for the things around me. That must be what she sees in me. I'm so thankful for her. I'd do anything for her. I'm grateful for Mike too. He's always there when I'm in need, at least when his mother lets him. I'm glad they're with me. Sunset slowly crept up, a grand show of colorful colors on the horizon. We made several bathroom and food stops, but finally, here we are. While we were coming into town, there was a sleepy ghost town vibe. It's a tiny town, the kind where they knew if you weren't from around there. There were a lot of eyes and people kept staring at us. The town was likely a popular truck stop. Gas stations and food establishments crowded the main street, but the people were warmer than I expected. Some kept their heads down while others stared. Maybe it was the California plates or the sunburst orange car. I wouldn't say I liked it. Maya found a cute restaurant to get some food in before we went to the hotel, and we found parking on a side street. It was called The Bonfire, and it had a wooden sign with a bit of a bonfire design. It had a small town charm that little holes in the walls often had. It was a local place, and a lovely old lady sat by us and handed out the menus. There were 7 items, and all of them came with fries. Maya got a burger, Mike got the strip steak, and I got a garden salad. Food came quickly and the water was with them. The waitress put them down and said, "If y'all need anything else, I'll be right over there, okay?" She pointed to an empty booth across the floor. We said yes and thanked her. We finished quickly and I put down $40, thanked the waitress, and headed out the door. We are staying in the Cobblestone Hotel, which is adorable and comfortable. The fireplace in the lobby is lit and warm, like a beacon in the cold, damp summer air. We could feel the humidity shifting but haven't thought about it as much as we do now. The air was thick and sticky, sweat was beading off of us. The decor was homey, wooden chairs, leather couches, and all ranch-style furniture. The lady behind the front desk was in her late 20s, and she spoke as I approached her. "Hello sir, what is the name for the check-in?" "Grim." "Ah, here you are. Your room number is 23. Enjoy your stay." She smiled and I took the key. "Thank you. Come on, baby." She was half unconscious as she held my arm. Food always makes her tired. I laid Maya to bed and went to the bathroom with my laptop to start reading the local news. The screen glows in the dim bathroom. The only light was an old, warm-toned light bulb that buzzed gently. Local Walmart shot up in robbery. Bed and breakfast 60th anniversary. You're going to die here. As I scroll past, my vision goes blurry. A familiar headache creeps in. I close my eyes and recoil as pain shoots through my head. Jesus Christ, I mumble as I refocus on the screen. Runaway cattle topple cars. I close the tab and open YouTube. We've been waiting for you, Piggy. I heard a cold whisper low and gravely, like a beast speaking our language. Its breath is freezing on my neck, and I swear I feel its nose touching me. I screamed. I jumped and bumped my head on the towel rack above the toilet, my laptop clattering to the ground as the lights went out. Baby. I could hear my girlfriend calling, but something was off. The light from the laptop showed up and onto the mirror from the floor. Baby. The high pitches of her voice broke, and I could hear an unnatural resonation. I couldn't tell where it was coming from. It was as if it were in my head. Baby. Her voice broke as the entity's growls broke through under its mockery of her. It got closer and louder. I looked at the shower curtain lit up from the light in the mirror, and a bloody pig's head sat above the curtains, mouth agape. I woke up on the toilet, laptop on my lap, and my neck aching. Baby, I have to pee. 1 sec, lovely. I quickly stand up, get myself sorted, and leave. You were in there forever. She looked irritated and grumpy, as she always was after she woke up. I rubbed the back of my head. It ached. Sorry, baby. I fell asleep. My neck hurt, and I kissed her on the forehead on my way out. I went and laid down on the bed and was out soon after. The bottomless abyss welcomed me once again to the infinite darkness. Sleep. The dull cool of the inky black around me. I turned around, and a deer was chewing something on the ground 50 feet away from me. Hello, I say. It stared into my eyes expectantly. Hello, I say louder. It paced back and forth, its elegant tan form bright against the inky darkness. I focused in my mind on my response, forming my lips carefully. Hello, how are you? I say, and it stops, and its gaze locks with mine. Oh, I am wonderful. It has been so long since I've had visitors. How are you, child? It slowly stands up and morphs into a form comparable to a human form. Although the head of a deer remains, the arms, legs, and body contort. I'm good. It's been a few days on the road, so my rest is welcome, I respond. I try to bend my mind around, turning the inky blackness into a warm field. The figure sat in a leather seat across from me. This is a nice place, my child. Tell me, what do you want by coming here? He drank from a gold goblet, his pupils black, the stag jaws taking in greedy gulps. I need to see it. I need to know that it's not real. I need the dreams to stop. I need true sleep. My true feelings flowed out of my mouth without me thinking. I wanted out, but something was holding me in place. Good, my child, you will see soon. Have patience. The invitation must be accepted. He put the goblet down and stared at me with empty animal eyes. Can we come in? His stag face grew into a cartoon smile. His lips peel against his face. It is synthetic, like a wax figure pulled with a string, forced into an antagonizing grin. Fear fills me, pouring into my stomach and creating a heavy pit in my stomach. I want out. I force my gaze downward, and a field appears below me. The distant sun is showering golden light so bright that it makes the cornfields glow. As I stared into the light, my surroundings dulled, my dream blurred, and a ladder was extended from the light. I put my hand on it. Maya's face stared back at me, her eyes unopened, and my body was uncomfortably sweaty. I sat up, trying to control my breathing. I'm so tired of these dreams. My doctor said the pills would help, but they make me feel fuzzy and blurry. It doesn't stop the visions, the painfully sleepless nights. My mind just won't quit. I got up and made my way to the bathroom. I shampooed and cleaned, exited the bathroom, and heard Maya's sleepy voice. Baby. Maya's sleepy voice greets me. Good morning, it's time to get up. The free breakfast ends at 9, I said, and she practically squealed with excitement and started to get ready. I'll meet you downstairs, baby. I'm going to get Mike. Okay. I headed across the hall and knocked 3 times. The door squeaked open to a dressed but disheveled Michael. Hello there, I greeted him. Good morning, sir. Would you like to go for a dubious smoke? He is entertained, the best mood Michael could be in. Of course, lead the way. He walked out of his room, and we quickly marched to the car and lit up. I haven't been able to sleep for shit, bro. I'm so tired, I say admittedly. Bet you're glad we're not doing a huge drive today though. Fair. I hope it is all going to be over soon. I took a long drag and passed it to him. What are you talking about? He grabbed it from me. I've been having vivid dreams again, and debunking this should help, I think. I hope. I opened the door and started back inside, since Maya would be there soon. We met in the lobby. I saw her eating waffles with a plate piled high. She made me smile just by being with her. Mike came and got his food, sausage and eggs. I got coffee and began planning the day's journey. I sat down with my laptop and started researching, checking every resource I had to find the pig farm's address. I only saw a little, but it was a road name, Obsidian Drive. I found it on Google Maps and closed the laptop. Mike finished his food, and Maya was halfway to a food coma, leaving a 1/4 of the original waffle size. Alright, let's go. I got up and threw away my empty coffee cup. Mike and Maya followed after me, and I made my way to the car. I got in and set up my maps. It's just a matter of time now. My brain ached from last night, but I didn't care. I needed to be free of this burden. The drive started with the repetitive miles upon miles of cornfield. We turned down Alabaster Drive, the road never ending. We had been driving on this road for about 4 hours now, but no sign of significance. Baby, I think we've seen this already. Are we driving in a circle? Maya groaned, exhausted and a little annoyed. I looked out the window and there was a little red shack though, that did look somewhat familiar. I don't think so, love. Everything just looks the same out here, I chimed back. All this corn and still world hunger, that's crazy, Michael says as he emptily gazes out the window. I laughed and shook my head. We can't even feed corn to hungry people, we don't digest it fully. Maya looked over with a thinking face. Well, that's ironic. I smiled to myself as I responded, it's American. We pick the most unhealthy fruit we possibly can and make it an industry. Vitamins, nutrients, minerals, and we choose to consume corn syrup. Truly, it's gross. I thought about all the different candies, sodas, and other confections we make with corn syrup. Mike took a hit of his vape. Only here could we grow diabetes. I laughed, and my attention shifted. I could feel the world slow down around me. An elk stood in the middle of the road, inevitable and built like a house. I slammed on my brakes and swerved to the right, nearly sending us into the cornfield but stopping just short as my panicked breathing started up. Maya and Mike shrieked as we stopped just short. What the fuck, babe? Maya socked me in the shoulder with a dull thud. Ow, damn it, there was something in the road. I looked back, expecting to see the elk, but all I saw was the calm breeze blowing the corn to and from. I didn't see anything. Be more careful next time. She looked at me with confusion mixed with anger. Sorry, baby, we're almost there, promise. I started driving again, getting back on the road. The sun was hot, beating down on us a little after midday. The more I went, the more the road narrowed somewhat. Maya fell asleep, and there were no other cars on the road, so I wasn't worried. It was about 4 p.m., and the road just kept getting more narrow. The corn hugging the sides of the road groped the car as we drove in, the leaves encasing us as we went deeper. Jesus, dude, this road is fucked, Mike said, observing the landscape as I swerved potholes. If you weren't careful, you could easily drift into the corn. I saw golden wheat fields, to either the left or right, beautiful waving golden wheat, and just from a mile down the road, I could see a house with a silo. It looked different. No orchard from my dream, just a green silo and a red pristine house. I didn't recognize it, but it felt so similar. I had to see inside. I drove off the side of the road near it, turning off my lights and putting it in neutral as I approached, trying to be quiet just in case. Maya was still asleep, and I was unwilling to endure the wrath of waking her after such a long ride. Mike and I went ahead. He lit a joint as we walked up. Why the fuck are we here again? He raised his eyebrow in my direction. I chuckled. Just wait, bro. I heard there were local country girls in your area right behind that door. I pointed at the newly painted green door. Seriously though, according to legend, these pristine barn houses are set up all around with no real explanation, all unlocked and modern, completely vacant. So, no girls then. Damn, that's fucking creepy though. I wonder what they're used for. He took a long inhale before putting it out on the golden knocker of the front door. The barn house was freshly painted red, and the porch was empty. The underside of the roof was green, and it hung over the porch slightly. We could see a window on the house and looked in at blank walls and well-lit rooms. There was no sign of life, but the inside looked clean and cold. "Looks empty, Mike. What's the move?" "I thought this was your plan, genius, probably this." He opened the door with no caution, cockily smiling as he did so. "Empty, just like you said." He went in, and I followed. It was strange. It was an ideally kept house with no furniture, no art, and no signs of life at all. It was all dull white gray except for a green door with a golden knocker and a gold door handle, just like the front door. It was all freshly painted and smelled stale and stagnant, even though there was an unnaturally cold draft coming from within. Mike got goosebumps all up and down his right arm, and I shivered as we went in. It must have been below 40 degrees. I talked to Mike in a low whisper. "Strange, it's empty but seems new." "Yeah, but just one door is creepy. Put on a couch or something." I looked around more. There was just a big living room and one door, no stairs even though the house looked taller, with no bathroom and no kitchen. "God, I'm stressed," Michael says. I nod, slowly turning the knob. My stomach is rolling and folding in on itself at the implications of this.